So good day, everyone. And today I've got Ian with me, and we are going to do the electional or auspicious dates for the month of August. And we are taping on the day of the Lionsgate new moon on the 8th of August. And this is the sneak peek version in which you'll be seeing. And for the full version, you can check out on my Patreon, in which I'll put it in the description box below. But for the sneak peek, it'll be available on my YouTube channel and also Ian's YouTube channel as well. So good day, Ian.
Oh yeah, good day.
Happy new moon here.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, it's a good Leo new moon. I guess not the most comfortable one with the I think there was a T-square happening there as well. But yeah, generally still a new phase starting, new activity starting. So I'm glad to jump in here with you and start to decipher some of the more auspicious dates we have for the rest of August 2021.
Right.
So I don't know. Well, shall I just jump in or?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So
Just share your screen and yeah, maybe just tell the audience as well, like what are the few key things that or qualities you're looking for when you're electing or choosing an auspicious date.
Yeah, guys, because right now what we're wanting to offer you guys is just not, kind of spoon feed you the dates. We want to, kind of give you what we use and kind of like some teachings, so you can do this yourself as well at times and not be reliant on others so much. So my, let's say, start of this electional approach is always the moon. So the moon is for me the most important thing when we're basically choosing for anything. And why is the moon so important? So a lot of you guys already know who watch astrology videos that the moon is our emotions, our emotional life, or feeling life, but it's also like our emotional center. And whenever the moon is either in a good position or in a bad position, that emotional center is either more stable or, more agitated, let's put it that way. And when we're, let's say, doing our best to make our business grow, or, choose dates for video posting, writings, basically doing any kind of, open public work, the moon usually needs to be, or I would love it if you could, put it in a good position. And this is the reason behind this, because the feelings and emotions influence us so much in our daily lives. And when these are grounded, the public or the other people interacting with your content, for example, or whatever it is that you're putting out the product, they are interacting with it from a more grounded place, from a more emotional, let's say, grounded, and I would even call it a mature place. So they're more receptible to the product. They're kind of not emotionally only reacting to the product or whatever it is that you're putting out, but they're that it's easier even for the mind usually to work. Obviously it depends a little bit on the Mercury, but if the emotions are more grounded, it's easier for the mind to kind of approach the situations from a more stable place. And this is one of the reasons why we really need to put the moon in a good position. And one of the examples I have for this month is the 16th of August. Now, it's a pretty good, electional date in a lot of ways. But let's start with the moon. And moon is in the sign of Sagittarius. So whenever the moon is in the sign of Sagittarius, and I invite you all to kind of observe this and observe your own emotional state and observe the emotional state of others, and even online, to see how are people reacting, what are the comments that are coming your way, what are even your friends, family, how are they, emotionally. Because during Sag moon, everybody's usually very optimistic, very upbeat. Now whenever there's some sort of, difficult aspect to the moon, it can change and fluctuate a little bit. But even when there's a difficult aspect to the moon and it's in Sag, it's still the optimism, the kind of jovial nature of Sagittarius usually wins out in my experience. So we're already, you know, kind of one piece of the puzzle is right here in Sag Moon. So what are the things I want to really say about the moon is moon void, of course, is really important. So if you don't know, moon void, of course, is when there's no applying or when the moon is not applying any aspect to any other planet. So it happens every couple of days. And it really, if you don't have professional software, there's a bunch of free softwares out there online that can help you decide if you can't, you know, do it on your own chart. There's a bunch of software out there that can help you do that and decide if it's moon void, of course. Now, the problem with moon void, of course, is, and this is, you know, the ancients, the Greeks, you know, didn't like it at all. And I kind of went on, let's say, a mission to either prove them wrong or prove them right. So what I did was I tried a bunch of things during moon void, of course, and, you know, they weren't that amazing and the things weren't really good. And so I kind of pretty quickly decided and saw like the real data coming in from my own testing that you should, if you're starting something new, if you're doing anything, doing basically moon void, of course, probably shouldn't, you know, probably shouldn't and should keep away from it. So keep that in mind. I don't know, Donny, do you have?
Void of course, moon is not ideal if you want to meet new people, for example, that you might want a new long-term relationship. When I see a void of course moon, if you're stepping into like going for like presentation of new ideas or even going for a job interview, not the best, because you know you're starting something, and when the moon is not making aspects before it changes sign, it's like all your efforts might just be flushed down the drain.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it. It seems like you can do all the efforts and put in all the efforts, but it's like nothing
Yeah,
really
it just
comes.
somehow results in nada, nothing. Making important large purchases, depending on the chart, if there's a void of course moon, I wouldn't advise anyone because it may not turn out to be what you expected. And you may later like need to go for a refund, or there may not be a refund in some cases. Or the items that you thought that you needed and purchase it over a void of course moon, and you later find out that, oh, I actually do not need this. So I just spend money for nothing. And of course, last but not least, if you are planning to start a business, starting a new job,
business project, I would say.
Starting new projects, and you have a void of course moon, yeah, it's a bit wonky here and there. So you may not get the desired outcome that you wanna. But having said that, the void of course moon in an electional chart can be great if you are maybe refining something, reviewing something, or editing something. You're taking stock of things. Finding lost objects as well. I find void of course moon can actually bring some things to the surface, and or you're probably doing like making some kind of to-do list is very good for when you're doing it under a void of course moon, because you're like wrapping up some things to kind of prepare when the moon changed to a different sign. If you talk about social events and relationships, not the time to meet new people. But then if you have like family, friends, or you know, just people that has an established relationship with you, go ahead with it. There's nothing wrong. Plan some activities, even though the moon is like void of course. It's also good for rest and relax timing as well. You probably get some kind of peace of mind. If you're doing something like, you know, going for a facial, going for a massage, something that relaxes you, it's got that 12th house energy when I think about a void moon. So that's great for that. And if you have a project that's already going on and you want to finish up the project, that you already begun before the void moon occurred. So during the void moon, when it's going on, you're wrapping up or finishing up the project as you go along. And last but not least, if void of course moon is like a closing chapter. So if you've got something excess that you want to get rid of, it's also good for that.
Yeah, it's what I've observed. It's almost like maybe I'm a little bit exaggerating, but almost everything that you can do in private, you know, in your private kind of area, you know, like Donny said, finish something up, kind of nibble on something, maybe, you know, relax, take it slow for a moment or two. These are really good during moon void, of course, you know, kind of, because it's for me, it's also like there is a certain kind of how do I put this now? It's almost like the intuition or the kind of internal guidance is, I would say, a little bit wonky. Maybe it's not like super amazing in those times, and it you know the things that the intuitions and the things that come can be either a little bit distorted. And what I've seen is happening during moon and void, of course. So this is one of the reasons I wouldn't, you know, want you guys to do anything big, important projects, whatever, everything we just said during this as well.
And also because like when people come for like choosing a good date, because they usually is wanting to start something rather than end something or finishing up something. But on the other hand, I've gotten electional requests for me to like, when should I pass up my existing project? So such questions like that, or like I've been working on this, like launching of this business for quite some time, and I just want to wrap this up. So depending how the question is phrased, a void of course of void moon may not be as bad of a choice. Yeah, but also I look at the last aspect that the moon has made before it went void to just kind of give me like a flavor. Most importantly, when we do like electional astrology, the chart must somehow symbolically match the event or the energy that a person's going through for the purpose that the chart is applying for. Then everything just kind of makes sense. Yeah. So what do you see for the 16th? For this one?
16th, like the 16th, we already touched the Sag moon, and now we also want, you guys, we also want, you know, as many influences, planets, luminaries in as good positions as possible. So right now, from the 16th, Venus is entering Libra. You know, I think most Venusian people we've been waiting for this for quite some time. You know, Venus hasn't been doing so amazing lately. But you know, Venus is very strong in Libra, in domicile position, and we also still have the Sun in the sign of Leo. So we already have quite important influences that we want in a strong position. We have them, you know, we have them basically.
So there's 3 planets in their own signs.
Exactly. Sorry, I think
Mercury, Venus, and the Sun.
Mercury. Yes, we haven't even touched Mercury, because Mercury already, you know, what's 8th? I think we're already, Mercury is in Virgo. So, but from the 16th, you know, these 3 are in their own sign, and the moon also in a good positive position. So hopefully you can see how we're doing this. We're putting as many good pieces of the puzzle together to kind of get one good result. And now the next one, usually when we have already some, and obviously I want to emphasize this, you can't get anything super perfect all the time. There's always going to be some aspect, there's always going to be some retrograde, there's always going to be something, you know, and I just want to emphasize that, to, you know, to not go too crazy with it, and you know, stay sane with it. And now when we have these placements, you know, in good positions, now we want aspects as well. So we want obviously we want applying aspects. Mostly we want, you know, trines, sextiles, conjunctions, you know, as well. And if possible, the squares, and it always depends on what you're exactly looking for, the time for. But best if some squares and oppositions can be avoided. Now, we are in an interesting position in the 16th, or during the 16th, because still the moon is already kind of separating from Venus, but it's still applying a sextile to Jupiter and Saturn. So this already good. When moon is good, again, the people's emotions, feelings are good. They're more receptive to everything. Now there is a bit agitated there here with the square. Sorry, go ahead.
I also like that because I use dispositors as in like the final ruler of a sequence of planets, like what planet reports to who in the hierarchy of things via rulerships. So if I were to look at that moon is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is ruled by Saturn. And Venus in the first house is applying to trine that Saturn. So do you reckon it's like a good chart to kind of fortify or strengthen a relationship since you choose a Libra rising as well?
This is what maybe I wanted to say again, because if we're like if we're choosing a specific moment, then yes, for sure. If we're choosing a very specific, what did I choose here? 10 a.m. Then yes, I would say if we want to start that and things that. But in general, we want like, let's say if we're wanting to do something in general, like post a video, do a writing, reach out to someone, whatever it is, I don't, in that case, usually look at that much, the ascendant, the houses, because the things change so quickly. I need to post this now, it's really hard to get those moments specific. But if it's like a marriage, a relationship beginning, launching the business, then I would look at the houses, the house rulers, even the ascendant ruler, the whatever we're choosing for that house ruler and aspects. But in general, how I do it is literally look at moon, then dignities of planets, and then aspects of if there are mostly good aspects. Let's put it that way.
I particularly like you choose like Libra, Venus and Libra to be angular conjunct the ascendant for your electional, because it's almost like a focused, deep or profound way of connecting can come through, because Venus's next aspect will be trining the North Node. And then right after that is trining Saturn. So it gives me like that fortifying, strengthening of relationships. Actually, I find that this chart is really good. Like if you want to go for couples therapy.
Probably. And probably pretty good, because it is, the Venus is pretty, Venus is doing pretty well here. In a lot of ways.
I quite like the Libra rising, and also like creative project commitments. Maybe that's good for that as well.
With the moon, if we're going into specific in such detail, I would say even doing some sort of private online consultations if you're doing more intuitive work, for example, because the moon is in the third house, it's very good in the third. And also if you want, if you're performing something a little bit within groups, because Sun is strong in the 11th house and Venus is in the first house, very strong. So like whenever Venus in the first house, ruler of the first, in the first, there's a sensation or feeling that the charisma is more there for the person doing it, and it kind of attract more good things to yourself, Venus, pleasures and attention. You are able to present yourself in a more pleasant way, let's put it that way.
And because if I were to go via your Libra rising, there is a day chart, and so like Jupiter in the 5th house is really good for something like, you reckon this is good for like potentially looking for a serious date? So,
I like the way your mind works, because Saturn Saturn is here, yeah, because it can't be, you know, super spontaneous.
Both are retrograde, so maybe someone that's asked you out for a date before, then you're like, okay, like finally we'll just go out for a date on today, right?
Yeah, you can go back. You can go back. But just be aware of that Mercury Mars, you know, conjunction there.
Right.
Probably going to
Maybe
be
black tie party, since you say like, you know, fifth, like that Saturn represents black, so black tie party, which is fifth house Saturn, right?
like a very formal group event, you know.
Yeah, but there's a lot
Aquarius.
of people like, and it's also to network and all that. So I think that's great for that. So just let me share my screen over here. The first date I want to look at is on the 21st. And I've basically derived this date through what I call the Venus star technique, because there's a activation via transit Venus into the 5 active transit Venus star points at the moment that we are living in. And I just toggle back and forth to see what kind of planets on the ascendant or on the MC will be suitable, and that's how I actually like came up with like this one and 2 other dates. And the first one is,
I just want to kind of ask you, this is a very specific momentary date.
yeah, so you just go to the 21st of August and you just smack the sun or the ascendant, and there you go. The rest of the planets will fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
And, but this one, I find that, you know, like when we talk about electional, right, people usually want to start things. But then this one in particular, when the sun is like rising in the chart, and then if you just observe the rest of the planets, particularly we've got a moon and Saturn conjunction in Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
And Jupiter is also in the same sign in Aquarius, in the whole sign 7th house, for example, in this case. Mercury is okay in its own sign.
Already separating as well.
Separating, but both Mars and Mercury, which can represent like a passionate contact, is trining Uranus.
Yes, yeah.
So that's why I mentioned earlier that not all charts are for beginning something.
Mm-hmm.
Some charts are actually better for ending something. And we have the moon actually approaching to a full moon. Not quite there yet, but it's like this kind of, when I see the moon and the sun forming this going to be full moon energy, it's like a gibbous lunar phase. It's got that Virgo kind of feel as well. It's actually good for fine-tuning something or refining something or revising something. That's the energy I got. I was actually thinking that maybe because if you go by whole sign house system, we have quite a good 2nd house, because Mars actually rules the 4th house over here. Mm-hmm. And 2nd and 4th is like some kind of family lineage healing may take place as well. And the 12th house, which is kind of is also part of the water houses, the ruler is conjunct Saturn over here. So it can really be some kind of lineage healing or purging some kind of past karmic linkage out of the way, and confronting that and get it out of the way as well. There's the kind of energy I got. So the things I wrote down here are like family lineage healing and also karmic clearing, something regarding that. And the 9th house ruler, whole sign, which is Mars over here. We've got Chiron, which is one of the astrologers. And the ruler, which is Mars, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses away in Virgo. So I actually wrote down here that it's also a very good day that you may want to consider having an astrological consultation as well. If you have some issues that you want to sort out, maybe you want to book a relationship kind of reading. That's why the 7th house is packed in Aquarius.
I just wanted to say, because it's interesting,
Yeah.
because the Venus is very good in the 3rd, in
Right.
Libra, and it's trining that 7th house stellium. So I think it's like good for consultations in general, like getting good advice,
Like synastry readings or Venus style
and
compatibility.
Uranus is in the 10th as well, so maybe you're right on the money with that.
Yeah, and but having said that, right, when I see Moon, Saturn, Jupiter in the 7th whole sign house, and Jupiter is opposing the Sun, what this tells me is that there can be some, if you want to engage an astrologer for a relationship reading, etc., all that, some kind of emotionally Moon, sobering Saturn information is going to come out, but it will help you to dissolve any kind of, it's objective, and it will help you to kind of confront any self-delusional tendencies.
Very well said, I would say. Very grounding advice.
Very grounding, yes. Yeah, and because Venus in the 3rd house in Libra really is like, you just serving and you're being like, you just look at both sides, Libra, of it and just say like you mean it. And it really helps the client, which is 7th house, or maybe you're an astrologer and you got a stack of relationship readings. Maybe this is the day that you want to like just plow through those as well. Artistic project launch, that's the other thing in terms of marketing, because Venus is in the 3rd house in its own sign. And it's ruling like Uranus and the 10th house cusp, whole sign house. So it can help in terms of like getting publicity for that.
Yeah, Sun is in the 1st as well, so
yeah,
that's a good way to put it into public.
And Venus in the 3rd house as well, if you want to like launch an online shop, it may be good for that as well, because Venus in the 3rd house, it can really help with initial sales launch. And Sun is in the 1st whole sign house, and you can really bring the heart and soul of your whatever you want to sell to the forefront. And sometimes you can even sell for more value than it should.
Yeah. And make it pretty with Venus in the 3rd if you're doing anything online. Make it pretty.
Yeah, very good for like marketing and promotion, which is very much like that Leo house and that Libra house kind of, and kind of feeling. Because Moon is also what we eat. And it's conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. So the key phrase of like diet and exercise routine really came up for me. If you want to find a day to kind of like restructure and reorganize and just have a totally brand new revamping, a new diet plan of yours, maybe you want to cut out some things and introduce something else into your diet, good for that as well.
In this case, Saturn even rules the 6th as well.
Yeah, and because we're talking about a gibbous moon, the phase right before a full moon, and so it's like that. There's that Virgo energy again, trying to like refine something, trying to like edit something, trying to review something. So maybe that will actually help as well.